Hi, YouTube family. Welcome back to Recording Movies Recap. Today I will show you an adventure, sci-fi film from 2009, titled Land of the Lost. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. In a mysterious wild zone, an astronaut desperately calls for help, but his communicator isn't working. He believes he has fallen into some kind of tear in time and space, most likely not even Earth anymore. A roar in the distance puts fear in him and he begins running, but it's useless. A hungry T-Rex finds him anyway. Meanwhile, on normal Earth, TV host Matt Lauer welcomes to his show his latest guest, pompous Dr. Rick Marshall. Rick has been studying quantum paleontology, which is based on the theory of time warps, and has taken $50 million of research. He's even written a book about it, and now he's asking for more funds. Matt of course finds the idea of parallel dimensions laughable, and he points out every important scientist in the field calls it nonsense, which angers Rick and makes him leave the studio. But he comes back when he hears Matt say he's out of his mind, intending to fight him, only to be stopped by security. 3 years later, Rick is making a presentation on tachyons, subatomic particles that move so fast that they travel backward in time. He's designed a device, the tachyon amplifier, that should allow them to travel sideways in time to another dimension where past, present, and future all meet. Sadly, his audience doesn't care much. It's just a bunch of kids on a class field trip, and they only have silly questions to ask. Giving talks for kids at a museum is the only job Rick could get after the incident on TV. But one person does seem interested in his research, doctoral candidate Holly Cantrell, who visits Rick and tells him he's brilliant. She thinks he should finish building the amplifier because his theories are right, and to prove it, she takes out an ancient fossil with an imprint of a modern lighter. She found it in the desert, surrounded by crystals that radiate tachyon energy, like the one she's wearing on her necklace. Rick looks at the fossil, takes out his own lighter, and puts it on the imprint. It fits perfectly. This gives him back the hope he had lost. The next day, Holly comes back to check on him again and finds him waking up from a food coma. He stayed up working until very late, but he did it. He finished the tachyon amplifier, which he built using some household objects, so it has some leftover data from the drive, like silly songs. He hasn't been brave enough to test it yet though, so Holly takes him to the desert where she found the fossil. The problem is, the cave she used to explore has become a tourist attraction, so they must pay gift shop owner Will Stanton to take them there in his raft. The cave has been decorated to make it look spooky, but Rick and Holly don't care about the made-up myths Will is trying to tell them. There's a strong tachyon reading in his cave, so Rick turns on the amplifier, which falls into the water when an earthquake suddenly begins. The waters under them get more aggressive and the raft is pushed to the back of the cave, which has magically become deeper and glowing. The trio falls into a water vortex at the end of the ride. This vortex turns out to be a time warp that takes them to the land of the lost where past, present, and future collide, just like Rick had theorized. They're on a big desert surrounded by miscellaneous things that have fallen there, from random doors to a Viking ship. The only issue is that they've lost the amplifier, so they must find it if they want to return home. A sudden noise alerts them of a presence nearby, so they go investigate. They find two advanced primate creatures about to sacrifice a third, so the trio decides to cut in to rescue him. Will tries to scare them off with the flame of his lighter, but the creatures simply grab it when he accidentally drops it on the ground and run away. Since she studied primitive languages, Holly approaches the third creature to show him they're friends, and they learn his name is Shaka. He tries to use some of the fireworks Will had in his pocket, but they don't work, so he throws them away together with his lighter, which creates the fossil Holly found. Next, he uses a staff the sweepstakes priest had been holding to try a pole vault, but Grumpy simply swallows him when he's in the middle of the air. Since Rick was his only goal, Grumpy ignores the others and leaves, so now the sweepstakes return to the temple. Enoch enters the obelisk and begins working the amplifier on the crystals while the group tries to fight off the sweepstakes, but there are too many of them. Suddenly, some powerful help arrives. It's Rick riding on Grumpy, who easily defeats all the enemies that surround them. Holly and will want to know how he's alive, so Rick tells them Grumpy pooped him out, and when he was making his way out, he dislodged some intestinal blockage. Grumpy is thankful for that, so the two of them are now friends. The group enters the obelisk portal and finds Enoch, who has already opened a time wrap to Earth. Rick jumps on him and wrestles him on the ground, but when Will tries to help, he tilts the crystal tray and makes one fall, shattering it. This causes the door to close, so Rick thinks quickly and grabs Holly's crystal necklace to replace the one that broke. The door opens again, so Rick and Holly rush towards it to escape, but Enoch grabs Will and prevents him from doing the same. With the help of Shaka, Will pulls a wrestling move and captures Enoch before telling his friends to leave without him. He barely had a life back on Earth, so he is staying here with Shaka and starting over. Holly and Rick enter the portal and return to Earth, right at the entrance of the tourist cave in the desert. Meanwhile, Shaka takes Will with him to meet his tribe, where the women he called ugly are actually very human-like, so Will is happy to befriend them. A year later, Rick appears on TV again to rub his success on Matt Lauer's face. He shows everyone a dinosaur egg Holly brought with her, and promotes his new book Matt Lauer Can Suck It, which causes Matt to jump on him to punch him. After the show is over, the egg hatches while resting on the table, and reveals it's not from a dinosaur. There is a baby Sleestack inside. Kindly subscribe the channel for more movies. Thanks for watching.